So, hello everyone. Are we in? Has spotlighted your video.
Good evening.
Good evening, or somebody speaking to us. That's very encouraging when people speak to us. We like, there's Raluca.
That's well.
That's somebody we know. And Alicia is there somewhere, or she was? She is. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Actually, it's good afternoon for us. And it's Easter Sunday here, so there's loads of chocolate and cake going on everywhere. So just by way of an introduction, for those of you who don't know us, I'm Sandi Mays, this is Mike Mays, my husband, and we work as mediums, healers, and life coaches. We're UK based, we live in Cornwall in the UK. We've never been to Dubai or anywhere around there. Yes. Pre-COVID, we did travel on planes extensively to Australia, New Zealand and France. Since COVID, we don't have any such limitations. We now travel worldwide at the touch of a button by Zoom. And for the last year, we have very happily been working for Illuminations in Dubai. And there we do webinars like this, but we also, I offer readings, so psychic and mediumistic readings, and Mike does deep energy healing. And we also offer courses in mediumship, foundation, advanced, and teacher training. So that's probably enough about us. Let's have a talk about this webinar that you've chosen to come to this. So who are you? A journey of self-discovery, finding your true self. So find your true self and put yourself back into your life. That's what this is about. It's a journey of self-discovery. So just think for a minute, who are you?
You might answer this question in various ways, such as you could say, if somebody says, who are you? You could say, I'm a son, I'm a daughter, I'm a brother, I'm a sister. Well, no, not me personally, but this is how you could. A father, a mother, husband, wife, partner, or friend. Or you could actually say what your job title is. You could say, I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. I am a solicitor. I am whatever I am. But those are just roles in your life. What about the individual person behind those roles? What about the individual person behind those roles? In other words, yourself, the essence of you. Okay? Think about it for a second.
So when I do a reading, it is that essence of you that I would discover, because all the other roles sit on the outside of you, but I would go right through to the essence of you, because when I read, that's the person I'm actually looking for. Right, so who is the most important person in your life? Think carefully before you answer that question. Have a think about it. Who is the most important person in your life?
Most people will probably say, like I would say, Sandi, or you may say your children, or you may say, you know, your brother, your sister, well, again, whatever, your husband, you know.
But the correct answer is that you are the most important person in your life. But that takes us back to that other question. Who are you?
Okay.
Really, who are you? Now, I'm going to give you a little example. We were working at a health resort in England called Champneys, and we were running a 3-day retreat, residential retreat, called Putting Yourself Back into Your Life, which is what this webinar is based around. And when we posed that question, one woman in our audience just started crying. And she said, I don't know who I am. She said, all my life, I've never known. For my career, I have been a headmistress at a big school, and I've just retired. And I have been a wife to my husband, but he's now divorcing me. And I have been a mother to my children, but they've left home. And she said, now I don't know who I am. And that's what we're talking about. You play these roles, you absolutely throw your whole self into them. And then suddenly the roles are removed for some reason or other. And you're left thinking, who am I? What do I want? And that's what we're trying to get to here. And hopefully by the end of this time, we will have arrived at that point where you have an idea about that.
So are you aware of what makes up who you are? Your awareness of how you are, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Big words. They are big words. Physically, how are you? Mentally, how are you? And emotionally, how are you?
So what makes us up is actually a combination of things. Try and get to the bottom of the question. We need to examine the combination, the ingredients in our recipe. So Mike's saying the awareness of who you are, how you are. And I'm going to say, what about your characteristics? How people would describe you. Are those characteristics genetic or are they acquired? Were you born with them or did you pick them up as you went along? So your likes and your dislikes, they make you up as well. They make you behave in certain ways. Are your likes and dislikes yours? Or did they originate with your parents? Are they influenced by other people in your life? So I'm going slowly here because I really want you to just think about these issues that I'm raising. Where do your likes and dislikes come from? Are they shaped by other people? Are you shaped by other people?
So your true feelings, this is what we're talking about here now.
Another ingredient.
Yeah, and not your thoughts. We want your true feelings, not your thoughts. Remember that your feelings, they come from the essence of you. So, and your thoughts are manufactured by your mind. So your feelings basically are the truth. That's what you feel. That's what's right. That's your gut instinct. That's the first thing, if you like. But then, unfortunately, the mind kicks in quite a bit. It says, oh, what about this? I know you thought that, but what about this? Or should we change that? Or should we phone a friend? Or should we do something else instead? Because I feel like doing that today. But that's not the real feelings, is it? That's not the real feelings. That's just thoughts that can be dismissed.
So always remember, your feelings are the truth. Your thoughts are manufactured by your mind, and your mind has been conditioned by your life. So feelings are like your gut feeling. So to discover yourself and how to put that person back into your life, you need to start. We all need to start somewhere with a project. We need to start with self-awareness. So this is your awareness of how you are, as Mike mentioned earlier, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And we've got a couple at least people who are on our mediumship courses here. So they will be very well used to this, asking themselves, how am I feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally? We're always asking other people, how are you? It's a stock question, isn't it? We just do it. Meet somebody in the street, you speak to somebody on the phone, how are you?
And what's the typical answer?
Oh, I'm fine.
I'm good. Yeah, lovely. You probably know in your heart of hearts they're probably not, but are they going to admit it? I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. I spoke to somebody yesterday, a friend who, she's still living with her husband, but he's in the process of moving out. He's declared that he doesn't love her anymore. They have a young child of 3, and he's bought another house. He's in the process of moving away from her. And I said, oh, how are you? You know, just trying to be nice, if you like. Oh, she said, I'm fine. I thought, no, you're not. Where do we start with this? You know, you're in a mess. But she's saying, I'm fine. No, no, no. She asked herself how she was. Physically, she's worn out. Mentally, her mind's all over the place. And emotionally, we won't even go there with this situation she's in. Do you see what I mean? You know, we really need to be aware of how we are feeling in those ways. So
that's because of the roles, isn't it? It's because of the roles we play. We feel we should play. But you should also look at how you really are, not just a role.
So in order to get that awareness and use it, you need a variety of tools. And you've actually got all these tools already. We're not introducing anything terribly new here. We're just drawing your attention to things. And the first set of tools you have for awareness are your senses. So your senses, I wonder, actually I didn't say at the beginning, and I should have said this. Can we go back to the main screen a minute? Okay. Yeah, we're just switching screens back here. We do stop for questions and answers at regular intervals through this. And when we do like input from you. So please, when we come to that point, don't be afraid to ask questions, because questions asked and answered are a lesson for everybody. And I bet you if you ask a question, somebody else was thinking, oh, I was going to ask that, or I wish I'd asked that. It's a human thing. So your senses. I'm going to ask a general question here. How many senses have you got? They got that screen? Have they got that screen?
Yeah.
All right, okay, so there you can see your senses. You have sight, you have hearing, you have touch, you have a sense of smell, you can taste, and if all those are working nicely together, you get your intuition or your gut feeling. And you might think, oh, well, I knew all that already. Wasn't sure about intuition or gut feeling or whatever, but I knew about all the others. But did you? How do those senses give you the input that they are supposed to give you awareness? The Aborigines know this very well. But in the Western world, or the so-called civilized world, we're not so good at it. So let's take sight. Do we see things, just see them and know what they are? Or do we really look at them? And you might say, well, what's the difference? So I'm going to give you a quick example. I mean, I have on this table we're using here, I have a vase of very lovely flowers that my daughter sent me from Australia for my birthday last week. And I know it's a vase of flowers. They're very beautiful. They're daffodils, they're yellow, they're absolutely gorgeous, and I can see them. Now, if I really look at them, can you just get me that one of those orange and yellow ones? I want to, let's show the difference between looking and seeing. So I've been seeing this vase of flowers, but what if you, how do I get this really close to them? Yeah, that's it. But when I really look at it, I see so much intricate and delicate detail within this daffodil. The shapes of the leaves, the different colours, and they've been opening up all week. And I have actually been looking at them for some days, and I'm seeing something different every day. And actually I should, because she sent me 100 of them, so it's quite a lot. So I do see them, but when I look, I see something different. So if you think about that in your lives, do you just see things, or do you really look? Are you scanning, or are you registering it? Are you registering the effect that that sight has on you? So again, using these daffodils as an example, there are 2 vases full of them in the room. And the effect they have on me, because I'm looking at the colour, and the colour is being interpreted by the sensors in my eyes and carrying impressions to my brain, the effect of that is uplifting. I'm aware of them, I'm seeing them, but I'm also aware of the effect they're having. Now, that's a very small example of sight, but perhaps it would perhaps make it clear to you how important it is to really look at things for our awareness and the effect that that sense is having on us.
So let's look at the next one, hearing. Do you hear things or do you listen to things? So, for example, we hear lots of things. You know, we hear a lot of noise, basically. Usually the things that we hear most of all are things that we don't want to hear necessarily, like traffic noise or shouting, you know, whatever. Those sort of noises we don't particularly want to listen to, but we hear them. So if we listen and really listen, what we can do is filter out some of the noises that we don't want to hear, and we actually listen to the beautiful noises that we do want to hear at this moment in time around our little country house. Is lots of things like birds and songbirds, especially in the mornings. I mean, really echoing, really lovely. But also you get the car or the motorbike go past. So I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to hear that. So what I want to do is listen to the beautiful songbirds, if you like. So you can control your ears to be able to listen to that. There's an expression what people often say is, I hear what you say when you talk to them. That's the time you know they're not really listening. They're just hearing it. And invariably, they miss what you're saying. So it's a bit like scanning, you know, proofreading something, you're just scanning it. A bit like on the TV, you hear it in the background maybe, or you hear it if you're listening to TV or watching TV. But you really get the essence of it, what they're actually saying. Probably not. Hearing is very, very important. And we need to look after our ears, definitely.
And just, I'm going to stay with the hearing for a minute because it's just triggered something in me. It's made me think about teaching. And one of the things I was taught when I was doing my tutor training was when you tell your students what they're going to be doing next, you're setting them an exercise. My tutor said to me, tell them once, tell them twice, then tell them a third time, and then they might get it. But she said they won't be listening to you. And I'm thinking, nah, that's exaggeration. Well, I've now been teaching for quite a while and actually doing teacher training, and I can tell you that it's absolutely true. If I set an exercise for a group of students, I'll divide them up into pairs, we'll put them into breakout rooms on Zoom, and I'll have told them what the exercise is, even if I've repeated it a couple of times and said, do you understand? We'll go round the rooms and I will find 1 or 2 at least of those pairs will be doing something completely different to what I asked them to do, because they weren't really listening. All right. So though all of these senses, incidentally, are attached to the nervous system. So, for example, sight, you've got the optic nerve connecting the eye to the brain. With hearing, you have the auditory nerve connecting the ear to the brain. And both of those work on vibration. And the vibrations are interpreted by the brain, from the vibration being carried through to the nervous system to the brain. So if we go to the sense of touch, so our sense of touch, this is physical touch, by the way, that is created by our skin, which is the biggest organ in our body. And our skin is absolutely full of sensors which transmit information to the brain to be interpreted. But our fingers are the most sensitive part. They have the most receptors in. And I just want you to do something just for a very short period. Just take your right hand and with your fingertips of that hand, run those fingertips over your left hand. From the wrist to the fingertips, across the fingertips, down each finger, whatever you want to do. But just explore that hand with the touch, sense of touch that's given by the fingers of the other hand. Don't look. Just be aware of what you're feeling from that sense of touch. Now, I know when I do this exercise, I'm always amazed by the hardness of my nails and the fact they grow out of quite soft skin. I think, how does that happen? But that's something my sense of touch gives me. It's an awareness. And that awareness will also be used when you, for example, pick up a pot in the kitchen that's too hot. How quickly do you put that down? And you're all going to say, well, I put it down straight away. How did that happen? Well, let me explain it to you. The sensors in your fingers gave you an awareness that it was too hot. But that awareness was because those sensors are sending that information through the nervous system up to the brain. The brain's receiving those impulses, if you like. It's translating them into the fact this is too hot. It then sends a message to the muscle control in your brain, which sends a message to your hands, put that pot down. That's taken me a little while to tell you that, but it happens instantaneously. That is what your sense of touch is giving you, an awareness of danger in this case. And then you want to do the smell, because you haven't got the sense of smell.
Yeah, let's look at smell. I mean, realistically, we don't use our sense of smell always too much either. I mean, you know, people say, like the flower we just showed you at the moment, you know, people sort of say, oh, that's a nice flower, and they might go up and have a little smell of it. But do they really smell it? I don't know. Probably not. Also, smell is very good as well, because it can alert you to danger, as in maybe a food is not quite how it should be, past its sell-by date, if you like, a bit off or whatever it is. But smell is very important for things like smoke. You know, it can alert you to danger, fire, anything like that. So it's very, very important. It's also important, and I know Sandi will talk about taste in a minute, but it's also important with the taste, because I know Sandi smells everything before she tastes it, and not many people do. When you smell something like that, a nice food or whatever it is in your cooking, it actually gets those juices flowing and gets your saliva going, and it actually enhances, if you like, the taste. So the smell is very important, because that's first. That comes first. Yeah, it
actually kicks off the digestive system, because if you smell, or if I smell fresh bread baking, my mouth waters. So that my sense of smell, the little molecules of that smell have gone up my nose and been carried to the back of my nose to a nerve group there, which is carrying that information, surprise, surprise, to my brain, which is saying, oh, that smells nice. And that starts, I think I like the smell of that. So my mouth starts watering. So the digestion has started, which takes you to the taste. And your taste buds, your tongue is covered in taste buds, which are, in today's world, largely underused, because most people eat too quickly. So we're not actually fully appreciating the taste of the food that we're putting into our mouths. But again, it's another sense. It gives us an awareness. And food that you love the smell of, and you actually allow yourself to feel the taste and know the taste and like it. That's a really big sensory experience, and it can have a big feel-good factor, which contributes to you and to your awareness of you and what you like and what you don't like. So if you put all those senses together, which are all connected into the nervous system, you come to the sixth sense, the intuition, the gut feeling. And that is the result of all the other senses feeding information in, giving a general awareness, which becomes a knowing. And you think, my intuition tells me this is safe. It tells me I like this. It tells me this is dangerous. And this is how the indigenous peoples, like the Aborigines, for example, if they're still living naturally, they will live by their sixth sense, their gut feeling. So please try and remember that that initial gut feeling is the one you can trust. And as we said earlier, then the mind kicks in and talks you out of it. So just be aware of what's going on with you, and who you really are, and what your senses are really giving you. So that's one of the tools in your toolbox. And we then come on, we're just going to change the slide. We then come on to this rather strange looking diagram, which shows you the positions of the energy control centers. I'm going to talk a bit more about energy in a minute, but these chakras, and they are the colors of the rainbow, and this webinar really isn't about giving you intimate chakra knowledge, but just be aware that each of those is contributing to your sense of self. Each of those is pulling in energetic information into your system. So we could take the green one, actually, just give a quick example. That's the heart chakra. Pay attention to that area, sort of between your breasts, that sort of area there. It's not your physical heart, but pay attention to that when something horrible happens to you. You'll get a sensation there. You're probably not aware of it now, but now I've told you, you probably will be. Or if you feel happy, you'll get a warm feeling there. And that sort of information that chakra is pulling in from the energy around you and the energy of what's going on around you. And that, as you can see, all of these chakras are connected to the nervous system. So they all have a group of nerves that they feed their information into. They feed into the central nervous column, if you like, that goes up through the spine, up to the brain, and then you have more awareness of what's going on around you because of this system here. So this is really quite important. I'm assuming you all know what chakras are, but I mean, they do actually control everything. They control your energy, and through the energy, they control your physical body. So moving on from that, because the way that that comes in through the chakras, there are different, you can see the different positions. So the red one at the base, next one up is the sacral, the orange, then the yellow, the solar plexus, and that's where we feel butterflies and we get the impact of fear. We just get this scrunched up feeling in our stomach. It's because of that chakra there. And then up to your heart, the green, the throat, the sky blue, the third eye, the indigo blue, and the crown, which is the purple. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. We really don't have time, but just to say to you that the crown is the most important one in connecting you to the universe. Think about a baby when it's born. It has the fontanelle, I think it's called, the soft spot in the center of the top of the skull. And gradually that closes over. When a baby is born, it is still very connected to the universe. So that's what that's about. And if you research these, you'll find they've all got meanings like this. But they're really, really important. And it's important for your awareness to be aware of your chakras and to try and keep them healthy. So that's another tool in your toolbox of awareness, if you like. But you'll notice that this is all connected to the nervous system and it's all connected to the brain. And this is how this feeds into your awareness of what's going on around you and how it's affecting you. But when I say the word you, I'm talking about the real you, not the role you're playing. All of this input goes into the real essence of you. So then there is another factor we're just going to quickly deal with here. You're going to deal with this, aren't you?
And about the energy field. So you can see we have two people here. We have this one here surrounded by an energy field, the red there, and obviously fastened to the chakra points there. So anything and everything that comes into this energy field comes in through this energy field, in through the chakras, up through the nervous system, up to the brain, and gives you impression. But we can't work alone, can we? We're not alone in this. So we have stick person, we call them stick people because they're not got a lot of weight on them. Stick person number two, this person number two, and the only reason I've drawn this arrow right through the chakras here is just to show you that that's how they are aligned.
They're all interconnected.
All interconnected, exactly. So this person, number two here, blends, comes in close contact, if you like, with this person, number one. And on that blend of energies, because the two energies are blending there, on that blend, right, you get information. And that information could be anything from how that person's feeling or not feeling. This is how I work quite a lot, because I work a lot with energy, especially with my deep energy healing. I'm aware of people's energy fields, and even on Zoom it's just as well, because energy has no time, space or barriers, so it can go wherever it needs to go. So I can pick up the energies of other people, and I work with that energy an awful lot, and I get impressions from that energy where the healing's going or what's happening, and then again it goes up through the nervous system up to the brain, and I can give almost an accurate description, reading or whatever it is of where the blockages are, because some of these chakras get blocked. Quite often they get blocked, and then that affects the energy field, so the energy shrinks. So say for example the solar plexus, if you had a phone call that's really disturbing, somebody passed away, something's happened, you instantly you sort of scrunch up like that, you know, and that makes that particular chakra very dull. So the color will go dull, it shrinks it, and what it does is it puts the rest out of a line as well, because they're all interlinked. They're like little cogs all going different ways. So if that one's moving too slowly, it's going to affect all the rest. And this is where you need things like healing and other things that come in, and this is where we need to look after our energy fields, because it's so important. You know, our energy is us, and we are energy. Basically, we're all energy. That's all we are, apart from a bit of salt and sodium and all other ingredients that we might have in our bodies. But realistically, we're pure energy. So we really need to look after that. That's how that works.
That's the toolbox you have that is providing you with your awareness and all of those things, except if actually, if we could just leave this on here, this is probably the one where you can see most clearly how other people affect you. All the others are just about how your senses, how your system impacts on you. But in this one, the energy field of somebody else is impacting on you. And that can cause a change in how you, the real person, feel. So all of these impressions are feeding straight into your brain, and they're not feeding into the mother, the father, the whatever it is, the role you're playing. They are feeding into the real you, the true you. And Mike's just spoken a bit about how he works with the energy field, with his healing. Well, when I do a reading, and again, my mediumship students here will know this, that when we read somebody else, when we pick up impressions about somebody else, it's through this blend here that I can, if that's me there, I can pick up information from that energy field through this blend that will feed into my system, into my brain, and give me impressions about the person I'm reading. But it will always give me the true impression. I might pick up what that person does for a living or what roles they're playing in life, but I'm always going to find the spirit of the person rather than the roles they play. Now, I think we've probably talked at you long enough. I think we need to hear from some of you now. So, questions. Has anybody got any questions?
You can unmute yourself if you have.
Yeah, unmute yourself, show your faces if you want to. We love to see people. We could see, we can see three. So, opportunities to ask questions means that you can clarify the meaning of what we're talking about, or you can ask questions about any of the topics we've raised so far. So have we actually stimulated any queries in you? Any questions you want to ask? No. You know, we've got a really knowledgeable group of people here. So that's all right. But I'm just going to bring forward a question from a previous webinar at this point, because I sort of saved these if they're interesting. And somebody asked me, does the energy field change color? Because it is full of color. The chakras are all colors, we saw. Does it change color, and what changes it? So the answer is yes, it does. And some people specialize in reading those colors. I don't. I can vaguely see them, but I haven't really fully developed that because I've got enough to do with my readings. But there are people that will read it. And one example is that if you've been recently bereaved, your energy field will be largely grey, because that's what grief does to the color of the energy field. So anything that happens in your life is having an impact on your energy field.
And we can see it. We can actually photograph it. So And there are times where we photographed an energy field of a person, and this has happened to me before, and the energy field, the colours are quite good, but a little bit murky. And then maybe a year later, when you photograph that energy field again, it's big and bushy and vibrant colours, especially if you've had healing or you've progressed in your mediumship or whatever you're doing, or you've done some self-healing, you've helped yourself, you feel a lot better the second time than you did the first time, then the colours are absolutely magic. So yes, it does.
Okay, so last chance for questions at this point, because there will be other chances to do with other topics, but does that raise anything for anybody? No. Okay. So we're going to move on to another ingredient of the real you, of your true self, and that is your characteristics. So we all have characteristics. We behave in certain ways. And they are influenced, those ways are influenced by many things, but we have, when we are born, we have certain characteristics. Because parents will say, oh, look what she's doing that. No, my mother used to do that, or my father used to do that. So we have these characteristics of perhaps we're shy. Perhaps we get angry quite quickly. Perhaps we're impatient. Perhaps we talk to people in certain ways. These are characteristics of us. Some people are very chatty, some people are quiet. These are our characteristics. So you can probably think of some of yours if you give yourself the time. And incidentally, you need to give yourself time to find yourself. You need to allow time to be aware of yourself. But just have a little think now. What are your characteristics?
I think all these people are shy. Shy characteristics.
No, they're quiet. They're very quiet. They're very quiet. But the characteristics are part of who you are. But the interesting question here is, were you born with these characteristics? Did you acquire them as you went through life? Did life make you develop certain characteristics? Or did you decide to create them? Did you decide, well, I want to be like that. I'm going to reinvent myself. Might note the word myself. Incidentally, I would write that as 2 words, not 1, because the self is far too important to be attached to another word. So if you are reinventing yourself, and you sometimes see this in women's magazines, oh, reinvent yourself with this or that, but maybe you're going to change some of your characteristics. But nevertheless, the characteristics is how you behave, how you react. So did you inherit them from your parents? Perhaps you can think back to your parents as ways they behaved. Do you behave in those same ways? Have you always done it? Or did you pick it up as you went along living with your parents? But just, this is sort of something for you to question yourselves about. What are my characteristics? And if somebody was going to describe you as a person, how would they describe you? Would they describe the role that they know you in? Or would they describe the real person? So, I mean, a quick example of this is something I was born with, is a tendency to want to make things better for people. I'm a natural healer. That's what I do. That's what my readings do. But I have had that as long as I can remember. I've always wanted to help people in some way, shape or form. It's just in me. I couldn't change it if I wanted to. I'd have to be really, no, you're not doing that, because it is through and through me. But there are other characteristics I have acquired, and public speaking is one of them. That is not natural to me at all. What I'm doing now is not a natural characteristic of myself, because I am naturally shy and quiet. But in order to work in the profession that I work in and do the things I know I should be doing, I've had to acquire that characteristic. So do you see what I mean here about what's in you already and what you decide is useful? So I have changed myself in order that I can go along with my natural characteristics. Okay, so that's all a bit of a mouthful, I know. But does anybody want to ask anything about that or comment? You don't have to ask questions, you can comment. Gianna, yes. Can you unmute? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
We've done it.
Good evening, everyone. I have noted your questions about characteristics. You said, were you born with them? I believe I was born with some of them from my genes, my parents, my descendants. Do you develop them? Yes, I do develop them. Some of them according to the environment I live in, according to my evolution. You know, sometimes you evolve, sometimes you go down also. Do you create them? Yes, I do create some characteristic because I create my own reality as per my moods sometimes. Yeah. And how would people describe you? I mean, if Raluca will describe me different from somebody from my neighbor will describe me differently than Raluca, because we are meeting in different environments. And I believe
it also depends on the blend of the energies. If our energies blend better than your neighbors with you, they might have a better description.
But we actually, we're into roles here, because we're talking about Gianna, the neighbor. But we're also talking about Gina, who is a co-student of Raluca's.
The different roles that I have with these two players, and how would people describe me also depends in which environment you are evolving. You are. One day they will see me very good, one day they will see me useless, isn't it? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for that, because you're actually illustrating perfectly how we play many, many roles in our mind. The true essence of you, what lies underneath all of that, is you, your spirit. And your spirit is contained in your energy. Your energy field is your spirit. And everything about our real self is contained in your energy field, which is, I love reading energy field, because I know I'm going to find out everything about a person's past, what's going on at the moment, potential future stuff, only potential, because we've all got free will, and the life purpose. That's all contained in your energy field, but it's all about you, the individual person. It's not about the role you play.
That's right. We all have to play roles, and Gianna's one exception. I mean, Gianna, you're a very sensitive person, a very compassionate, healing person, a nice person. But some of the roles I know that you have to play, you need to be speak, outspoken. You need to, present, if you like. But normally,
quite quiet.
You will be more sensitive and more quiet. But because of this role that you have to play in your certain careers or jobs or whatever, you have to adjust, if you like, to do that.
Gina, can I tell the audience one of your roles? Would that be all right?
Yes.
If I the one where you speak a lot. Gina has a very interesting, one of her jobs is really interesting. It is a postman. So she has to make lots of announcements, lots of public speaking, and lots of organizing of people and getting them to do what they're supposed to do. Do you do weddings, Gina?
Sorry?
Are you a Toastmaster at weddings and banquets?
I am now in 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes.
Okay.
I have to go to a public speaking. I am one of the judges in Jordan. Yes, it's online contest, and I'm one of the judges for the 9th next week. Today I did for India. There are so many going on.
So that's a really good example. Here we have a lady who predominantly is quietly spoken and thinks a lot before she speaks, and then she says it quietly, and she's not pushy, she never talks over me in class, none of those things, and yet this role you play. So that's a very good illustration. So thank you for allowing me to use
and if you need
as
to
an
go,
example.
please don't feel that.
No,
in 5 minutes I will go. But as I said, I had to adjust because it was a choiceless choice. I mean, when you live 35 years of your life abroad, in Europe, in Scandinavia, in the UAE, you have to adjust. You have no choice. Yeah, you have no choice.
The real self
remains the
real
same.
person, the deep down person, is always going to be that person.
Your soul remains the same.
And sometimes it's nice to see the real person come out, and we've seen that within the groups that we've had with Illuminations, in youth included. So the real person is the rest. Okay.
So thank you for that. So let's go back to the ingredients of what your real selves. And Mike's going to talk about likes and dislikes.
So your likes and dislikes. Yours, are they yours, your likes and dislikes, or did they originate from your parents? I'll give you a very quick example. My parents, and certainly my mother, hated cats, would not entertain a cat. She kept saying there was dirty animals and everything else. So I grew up hating or disliking, is probably the right word, disliking cats. Not that I was cruel, but just disliking cats, and would never have a cat. I had a dog, but I would never have a cat. We have a little cat now, a little kitten, you know. So because I was brought up with that dislike, now I'm old enough and I'm able to say to myself, actually, they're not dirty animals. They're probably one of the cleanest animals. And actually, I quite like them because I absolutely adore our cat. So I've adjusted and I've changed, but because somebody dictated, if you like, and told me that this is what it was and this is what it was, I had no choice then. The role I had to play, I didn't have a choice. Now I have a choice, so I can make up my own mind.
This comes
just one influence.
It comes with maturity, because when we're growing up as children, we're just copying our parents, really. And they say, this is nice, this isn't, whatever they say. And you tend to be like that until you start growing up. And then you actually get, I rather like that. Parents don't, but I do. So you're evolving into your true character.
Yeah. You know what Bob Proctor, you must have heard about him, Bob Proctor. He teaches a lot on management, leadership. He says we inherit prejudices.
Yeah. So we have, this is another awareness thing. Where did we get our likes and dislikes? Are they really ours, and do we really agree with them?
Yeah.
So I was brought up by my mother saying, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, what will people think? And that was how I was formed. But as I got older and sort of out of teenage into early 20s, I got rebellious. And then I was thinking, actually, I don't like the word should and shouldn't. I like this, I like that, I don't like this. So I began to let my own likes and dislikes influence who I was as a person. I'd evolved from the family background into myself. I was beginning to be myself. But a question, a rhetorical question probably, is how many of our likes and dislikes are influenced by people we live with? And, you know, do we sort of, are we flexible according to who we live with? Of course we have to be.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think you take any notice of me at all. So, you know.
That's dangerous ground I got onto there, wasn't it, really? But of course, sometimes you have to adjust. In a relationship, for example, there is give and take. But never ever give up your real base likes and dislikes for somebody else. Just don't force it on them. But always remember who you are and how you are, because that is the essence of you. And this is about this journey of discovery. And all this awareness should take you quite a way on this journey of discovery. And I've pinched a bit of yours there, didn't I?
No, don't worry about it.
No, okay. So any other comments and questions from anybody else here?
We have one in the chat box.
Oh, good. Yeah, you do.
Hello, everyone. I'm a lovely person, actually. But the thing is, when I meet anyone for the first time, I come under pressure and I lost real me, I lose the real me basically, and do not know why I am unable to make a good impression. Okay, so yeah, that's.
I think it's what is a good impression, and good is in the eye of the beholder. So according to who you meet, they will form different impressions of you, and that will be based on how their energy field and your energy field are blending. You have to be yourself. Whatever happens, you have to be yourself. And remember, you cannot please everybody all of the time. You just can't. You just be in such a, I mean, we're already muddled as we are. But if you try and please everybody all of the time and form, as somebody said here, a good impression, well, good in your eyes might not be good in the eyes of the other person, because we all have different viewpoints.
And you won't be your true character. You're taking away the essence of you if you try to not be the real you and project something else on, you know, another side of you, if you like. It's not the real you, so you're taking away the part of you that is real.
I think sometimes we have to,
you know?
like,
you have
sometimes
to have
job,
standards, or you have to do certain
to.
things, but the real you is still there. The core value, if you like, your core values are written into you. They are there. This is what you're all about. And sometimes, yeah, like you say, we have to adjust because we can't do certain things.
But just basic thing, and I come to you, Gina. I can see your hand up.
Basic
thing is, I'll just say one more thing, Gina. Just the basic thing is, this is for everybody. Always be yourself. Be true to that. Do not do things because of how you think somebody else will perceive you, because you are good enough. Okay, sorry, Gina, go on.
I just want to say, why should I impress the other one? Why?
That's what I'm saying. Just be yourself, and they will form their opinions according to how they are.
Thank you, Misha.
It's too common.
No, this is just
with time, people will discover you, will like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or not. We can't be popular with everybody. We're not. Everybody isn't compatible, and that's absolutely fine. We just have to get along. We don't have to be absolutely best friends with everybody, because we're not going to be. It's, you know, different people get on better with different people, and that's all right. That's life. That's life. So just coming, I just realised what the time is.
Right.
So we just got that last thing to do there, and this is that last vital ingredient that makes up you, and that is your true feelings. So it's back to the how am I feeling? How am I? And recognizing this is how I feel. And when I do readings, very often people come to me and they want answers to questions. What shall I do? What about this? How do I decide? And I always put them back to, how do you feel about it? And to start with, they'll come out with a load of words all about their thoughts, all about their logic. I say, no. How does it make you feel? And that's always going to be the absolute foundation of everything, because our feelings come first. Something happens, somebody says something, we feel something. Then our head kicks in and says, oh, no, you can't say that, you can't feel that, that's not right. And you're off on this process of thought. Your thoughts are conditioned by your lifetime to this point, by your parents, your teachers, people you've been with, people you've worked with. Your thoughts are conditioned, your feelings are not. Your feelings come from the center of you, from your soul, from your spirit, from your self. Okay, so who is the most important person in your life? Let's go back to that one.
Myself.
Yes.
Always yourself.
Yes, always the self.
And do you know what? People think, oh, that seems a bit selfish, but actually it's selfless.
Exactly.
Because you can't help anyone else. You can't do lots and lots of things in this world until you know yourself and can help yourself first. That gives you the opportunity to help others and to be the true self. Very important. Yeah.
I mean, some people that I ask that question to, they'll say, when we're doing some of our retreat breaks and things, and they'll say, oh, my children. My children are the most important thing in my life. And they are important, but they are not more important than you. Because we come into this world alone. We walk the path, the journey of our lives, and at some point, for a lot of us, our children arrive. And then they become the most important concern in our life. But they shouldn't be the most important people. We walk with them for a while. They need us. They absolutely cling on to us. They can't do without us. And then gradually, it's like riding a two-wheel bike. They get a bit wobbly, but they can go off on their own. And eventually, if we've been bringing them up in a healthy way, they will go off on their own. I know that. I've got one in Australia and one in Thailand. And it's not a problem, because they're there because they're like me. They're adventurers. They investigate things. But so my life now is back to me. Of course, I'm there for them. But they've moved into their own centers, their own center of attention. We walk with them for a while. We're always there for them, but we walk our journey ourselves. And when we leave this planet, we go alone. Doesn't matter how close we are to somebody. We go as individuals, we go alone. So just remember that you are the center of your lives. You just interact with other people, but stay true to who you are. You have to, otherwise you'll lose sight of yourselves and you won't know who you are anymore. And that's what this journey is about, going back to being aware of yourself, rediscovering yourself, getting to know yourself, liking yourself. How about that one? Loving yourself. That's all right too. And living a fulfilled life according to your needs, your likes, your dislikes, and kind of fitting that in with other people, but not making other people the driving force. You need to be in the driving seat of your own life, not the passenger seat. Right.
So you really are the star player, if you like, in this play. You are the #1 player. You're the star. You're the leading lady, if you like, or the leading gentleman in my case. But, you know, and that's it. You are that star player. Nobody else can do the role that you're doing, because you're all individual.
We've got the lead role.
Somebody might do it a different way, but realistically, you're the lead. Okay.
So, good people. Last chance for questions. Comments.
Thank you, Mishia Khan, for the question and for, you know, the praise. Anyone else? Daniela,
anything from anyone? No. Well, then I think all we need to say to you is bon voyage on your journey of self-discovery. And if we can help you in any way with a reading or perhaps a deep energy healing, then we are available, or you can book us for a private session. I mean, just book either of the things that we do. And if any UN come in and say, well, actually, I want to talk about how to find myself, that's fine.
We can do that.
We can adapt it, because that's part of our life coaching work. So we can do that too.
Thank you all. Raluca and Alicia, we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Good ladies. And thank you everyone else for being here.
Yes, nice to see you all here. And I hope you've enjoyed it.
Okay.
That's okay. All right then.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye.